Good day, Internet. This is DTNS Live for Thursday, March 27th, 2025. From Studio Animal House, I'm Sarah Lane.
From Columbus, Ohio, I'm Robb Dunewood.
And producing the show from north of the wall, I'm Amos.
Daily Tech News Show Live is made possible by its listeners thanks to all of you, including Kevin Morgan, Paul Thiessen, Ali Sanjabi, and our new patron, Mark.
Yay! Welcome, Mark. Welcome, Mark. We are on such a roll with new patrons lately, so thank you to all of you who either have discovered us recently or said, you know what, it's time that I become a patron. We appreciate you. Cannot emphasize that enough. And welcome to all to DTNS Live, the show where we discuss the tech news to help us all understand it a little bit better, talking through it together. Robb Dunewood, how the heck are you?
I'm not doing as good as you and Amos because I can't make hand gestures and make my emojis pop up and lightning and thunderstorms and all kind of stuff that you guys are doing. But other than that, I'm pretty good.
Before the show, for anyone who's like, what is he talking about? On Mac OS with a compatible webcam, if it's not the built-in cam on your device, there are like thumbs ups and various things that you can do to have balloons or rain, as Amos and I recently discovered. Although Amos has clouds above his rain and I did not. I just got solid rain, and I don't know why that is. Unless somehow Apple is like, I think he has more clouds in Alaska than you do in California.
It could just be my lifelong obsession with Eeyore. So
maybe. I mean, rain is rain, right? But I guess the dark cloud really adds to it.
Really, sinks it in.
You got some fireworks, you got some laser beams, lots of stuff that I don't know how it helps us. But Robb, I'm sorry you feel left out. Let's rectify this somehow. At a later
Maybe
date.
I will buy a Mac just so I can feel
now.
a sense of belonging.
When I got the Mac Mini, you said you were pretty interested.
I really am. I really am. So a Mac Mini could very well be my next PC purchase. My next computer purchase, I should say.
I bought a Mac Mini as a test bed, and 3 months later, when I moved to Korea, I didn't take my PC with me. I just took the Mac Mini.
Well, my trusty M4 Mac Mini that I'm using now, and I hopefully for the next decade, I am very, very happy with it. Little clunky at first. There were a few quirks, just a few setting stuff that I had to figure out. But now it just runs like a happy little quiet machine. So anyway, that is neither here nor there because we have lots of more tech news to talk about. So let's get into the quick hits.
Apple analyst Ming-Chi Kuo reports that TSMC's U.S. chip facilities lag about 5 years behind Taiwan, meaning they're producing chips but won't be producing Apple's A-series and M-series chips anytime soon. TSMC plans a second Arizona plant in 2028 for 3-nanometer chips and a third facility for 2-nanometer chips by 2030. This timeline brings up supply chain security issues and geopolitical risks.
A security incident where U.S. officials used an unauthorized Signal group chat to discuss military plans. Tiny story, probably did not hear about this in the news. Mistakenly adding journalist Jeffrey Goldberg, who later published said messages, drumroll please, has led to a surge in Signal downloads. AppFigures data shows that since Monday, worldwide Signal downloads on iOS and Google Play we're up 28% from the daily average over the last 30 days, with U.S. downloads up 45% and in Yemen up 42%.
Facebook announced a revamp of its platform with a new Friends tab that now only shows content from a user's Facebook friends, removing recommended posts. This launch is first in the U.S. and Canada and is meant to restore the original social experience of Facebook. Meta says it plans to introduce more features throughout the year to enhance personal connections on the platform.
I think it probably says something about me that I didn't even realize that it wasn't just a friends thing because I don't hang out on Facebook very often.
You know what's funny? I got on Facebook for the first time today this year. I mean, I very rarely hop on Facebook.
Yeah. Google is changing how it develops new Android versions by moving all future work to its internal branch, reducing transparency. You might say, why are they doing that? Android is still open source, but only Google and companies with a Google Mobile Services or GMS license will have access to development branches. Previously, anybody could view updates through the public AOSAP branch.
Amazon Luna has signed a multi-year deal with Electronic Arts to bring games like Star Wars Jedi Survivor and Dead Space to Luna. The expansion includes new countries and more EA titles, notably from the EA Sports portfolio, with better access for Luna subscribers. Prime members in the regions will also get exclusive monthly benefits. The Luna controller is now available in select European countries at a discounted price.
Researchers from JP Morgan say they used a 56-qubit quantum computer to generate certified randomness, proving that quantum supremacy is real and can make random number generation and do it well. The paper was published in Nature. We'll have that link in the show notes. I encourage you to read it because it's a little sort of a mind explode type thing, but it's real. Classical computing is something that we're all used to, but the researchers say quantum computing's supremacy over classical computing is what they were going for here, and randomness is intrinsic to quantum mechanics. This has implications in the future for things like cryptography, security, and advanced simulations. If you've been on X, and probably other social networks, but certainly X, over the last, 36 to 48 hours, you might be like, what is going on with OpenAI's new built-in image generator? So, a little bit of backstory. OpenAI CEO Sam Altman says the company has postponed the rollout of ChatGPT's built-in image generator, they announced on Monday, for free users, which we were all supposed to get it. I'm a free user as well, due to what he said was overwhelming demand. Just said, we just can't offer it to you until we figure out how to deal with the demand from everybody who is making images. So this launched on Tuesday. The tool is powered by the GPT-4o model, letting users create images directly in the app, with many, and I'm not exactly sure why, but many glomming onto sharing Studio Ghibli-style artwork online. Currently available to Plus Pro and Team subscribers, no word on when free users will get access. Now, if you're saying, what is Studio Ghibli? A lot of people listening to this, clearly you already know, but Japanese animation studio, very beloved. Mascot is the character Totoro from the 1988 film My Neighbor Totoro. Behind big movies like Princess Mononoke, Spirited Away, Howl's Moving Castle, Ponyo, The Boy and the Heron. The studio was founded back in 1985, been around for a while, and known specifically for saying, you know what, the whole kind of CGI thing, we're not into that. We hand draw everything. That's part of the studio's sort of you've got your fans that are fans of the studio for that exact reason. One of the directors, very well known, Hayao Miyazaki, has said in the past that AI is sort of a big middle finger up to humankind in general, basically saying, I don't want to do it. I don't want anything. I don't want any part of this. And this is not what humans are meant for. So here we are. You have a lot of people online now either sharing a photo, which, by the way, looks really good and extremely Studio Ghibli style, on various social networks, and being like, this is so cute. Oh, yay, my kids are going to love this. And other people saying they should sue OpenAI, up and down, right and center, because it's too much. But then you get into the conversation of, well, is a style something that can be copyrighted?
It's a good question. So I know this came out on Tuesday, and it really started to blow up yesterday on Wednesday. And Wednesday generally is a day I don't pay a lot of attention to tech, because it's the one day a week I don't actually have a tech show to do. But as I'm just, scrolling through social media and just looking on the internet, it's like, man, did I miss a meeting? Did like the internet decide that we all are going to have this, this specific, Studio Ghibli type cartoon type, effect or filter over literally every image that exists? Because that's what it felt like yesterday. So I don't know how. Well, I do know. I think I probably feel like this company probably feels Studio Ghibli is probably not very happy about this at all, particularly since they are not fond of AI in the first place. But Sarah, to your point, I do wonder is a style something that can be trademarked or copyrighted? I mean, it's, this isn't their work. This is just work that looks like their work. So I don't know. I don't even know if that's a gray area. Can you, if you draw something that looks like something that someone else would draw, but something that person didn't actually draw, are you copying them, or are you just using their style? That is probably for lawyers to discuss, but I'm not really sure how that works out.
100%. I mean, yeah, if I, just sort of a meek, wannabe animator kind of thing, it's like, okay, I'm going to copy the style. I'm going to do my best to copy it. Maybe I'm not like that great at it, but I can get close. Is anyone going to come after me? No. It's, a style is a style. I can be like, I'm going to do something like, Andy Warhol-ish. It's like, no, I mean, Andy Warhol's estate is not coming after me. However, if I am a unicorn would be an understatement kind of company like OpenAI is right now, where people go like, well, hold on a second. You can just like add that filter to anything and it looks exactly, well, not exactly, but to an untrained eye, exactly like what would have taken, people working at Studio Ghibli, like, who even knows how long? I mean, certainly a lot of time and a lot of painstaking process. I can see where that is an issue. I don't really know what the solution is, though. I think we've leapfrogged, what the solution is. It's out there, and unless you're just going to go, try to take down every company that does something like this. I mean, there are too many companies that do things like this. Sure, OpenAI is getting a lot of attention right now because their image generator works really well, and apparently is so popular that they can't give it to free users like myself. But I don't know. I don't know how you get out of this unless it just turns into like a huge legal argument, which everyone's going to get bored of and stop caring about. Meaning the general pop.
Yeah, I don't know that we actually have the laws on the books to deal with this. I mean, we just last week we talked about how is it fair for a company like OpenAI or a company like Google to literally scan all books in the library, all books that have ever been written, and claim fair use? Well, we're not going to recreate the book. We just want to scan the content that's in the book. The same thing applies here. It's like, every image that is being generated yesterday is not a is not a replication of something that Studio Ghibli has done. It's just that they have a style, and what OpenAI has done is scanned all of the content, probably of all the images that they've created, and do this when somebody says that they want this filter on their image. I don't know how that works. I don't know that we have law to deal with that at this point.
I'm almost certain we do not. This is interesting in that we just had the story about Studio Ghibli yesterday or the day before. So how much of that is weighing in on the filter and the usage? I don't know. It seems to me like whenever you have a style and people start creating things in that style, you should almost just feel happy that they recognize your style and people can see that it is your style. Because that alone means your style was
greatest form of flattery, right?
Right. Yeah. I honestly don't know how this is going to end. I just think it's really ugly right now. And
well, I mean, okay, so this is very apples to oranges, but the idea of like an expensive Louis Vuitton handbag, like somebody can knock that off, but if they knock it off and Louis Vuitton is like, you know what? Too close to home, and want to go after the people behind it. I mean, good luck finding out who they were. But this is something that goes on all the time, where it's like, is it just flattery or is it like a full on ripoff?
I wonder, is this more like when you have a music artist that here's a song that they get inspiration from, and then they recreate the song, but it's too like the first song that original artist may go after them on the technicals. I wonder if that is something that could ultimately happen here.
I think you're dead on, Rob, because if you look at the lawsuits that have happened with music, They haven't figured that part of it out yet either, and they've been at it for 30 years and still haven't got a hard set of, yes, this is copying, no, this is derivative, or they still haven't figured that out. So it's going to be another 30 years before we get this part of AI figured out. It's just going to be rough waters until then.
Well, in other OpenAI news, the company announced it's integrating Anthropic's Model Context Protocol, or MCP, into its own products, including the ChatGPT desktop app. This open source standard is meant to improve responses by allowing access to data from business tools, from software, from content repositories. Sam Altman praised MCP's popularity and reaffirmed OpenAI's commitment to incorporating it into tools like the Agents SDK and Responses API. All right, Rob, let's talk about WhatsApp and how this might change how I use my iPhone.
So it's not so much a WhatsApp story as it is an iOS story, because you can now set WhatsApp as your default app for calls and text messages on iPhone after updating the version 25.8.74, as reported by WA Beta Info. Initially, Apple announced this feature for iPhone users in the European Union, but later confirmed it would be available to all users with iOS 18.2. To change your default messaging and calling app, go to Settings, select Apps, Default Apps, and choose WhatsApp from the available options. Once set, your iPhone will automatically open WhatsApp when tapping a phone number on a web page or selecting the message button in your contacts. So, Sarah, I don't think that this is going to be a huge deal here in the United States just because iOS dominates here. I think that iOS is probably 69 to 74% of all phones in the United States, and iMessage is the thing. And then even RCS after that for the Android users, and talking back and forth with Android and iPhone. But in Europe, it has never been iMessage. It has really never been SMS. It has always been WhatsApp. So I know that a lot of folks in Europe, in the European Union, are absolutely ecstatic about this because they simply just do not use the built-in stuff to their phone. It is an afterthought. In some carriers in the in the European Union, they actually set WhatsApp as the default anyway for for their organization because everybody's using it anyway. Yeah. So the fact that Apple is now allowing this and saying you can actually change your default so that when you click on a phone number, when you go to your contacts and you want to call somebody, it'll automatically use WhatsApp. I think that is a huge deal. I think the law kind of put Apple into this situation. I don't think if the EU didn't tell them that they had to legally that they would have ever done this. But now that they have, I think that people are saying, wow, this is kind of awesome because it just saves me a few clicks when I want to call someone.
When you said I think iOS is the dominant messaging platform in the US, I was like, that can't be right. So Statista says, yeah, and you're right. iOS, at least in December of 2024, so just a few months ago, iOS roughly 57.93%, Android
I was off
10%.
I thought it was closer to 70. It's the other way around.
It's still more than half.
Yeah, and the other way around for the rest of the world. I want to say the Android is like 71, 72% market share worldwide. So there are a heck of a lot of Android users out there. And because Google has never until relatively recently had a cohesive statement of this is what you do when you're on an Android device and every Android device can use it. I think that's why Meta was able to step, or actually even before Meta, but WhatsApp was able to step in, and then once Meta got a hold of it and said, "Earth, you can just get this application really easily now," the WhatsApp just simply took off, and it dominates the number of people who use SMS still in the world, and it's not even close. So, like I said, I think that this is a great thing. I wonder though. If is Apple stopping too short here? Should they allow you to use any third-party messaging platform and set it as your default? Signal is in the news for in a lot of ways, a lot of bad reasons, but at least for them, a lot of people are downloading the app. I know that was one of our quick hits.
There are a lot of people who use that as their dominant messaging platform.
A lot of people who are using it. Should you be able to set Signal to be your default calls and messaging app? Could you set some other third-party app? I just wonder. I don't know what the answer to that is, but I just kind of wonder if that should be something that you should be able to do. On Android, you can do it.
I think some of that is going to depend on the capabilities of the app, because Apple doesn't want to give you, you can set Signal up as your default app, but if you're sending it to a brand new number, well, Signal doesn't have a way of doing that, so it's going to go default back to the Messages app. There could be some capabilities within the apps themselves that might dictate. Overall, though, I'm more excited about the fact that now that Apple is going to let people have a different default phone or messaging app, is that going to drive Apple to want to invest more in their phone and messaging apps to hold the audience? I'm not going to switch from the phone or the messaging app on my phone just because I like the simplest possible solution on things. But if they want to add more features to it to keep parity with other apps that they're allowing, with WhatsApp, that's going to be that works out for me, and it's going to work out great.
It'll be interesting if that were to happen for this reason. Apple is absolutely a walled garden. No one else is going to get access to iMessage. That is their thing. They will not. I cannot see them ever allowing iMessage to be on someone else's operating system. That being said, it can never really kind of catch up to WhatsApp, simply because WhatsApp is cross-platform. And it already is number one. So how would a device that only has roughly 29% market share worldwide catch up to a platform that offers 70% of the people the ability to use it on the 30% platform or the 70% platform? The math just doesn't math for iMessage ever being bigger than it is unless Apple makes it cross-platform, and I just don't see that happening. Yeah,
but I'm also thinking of like other default apps in the iOS system. If you want to have like a new web browser, you're still using WebKit because that's Apple dictates that even if you build your own web browser, it has to be built on WebKit. Does that change? Does that get modified, or has that changed? That might have changed last year. But if you can start developing other ways, if Apple's willing to start opening up the default apps abilities, then what else they're going to open up? And that could really, even if they don't want iMessage to go worldwide with everyone's phone, which would have been great for BlackBerry back in the day for them to allow that. But what else are they willing to let go, and where will they fight to hold on to that walled garden and keep that all enclosed?
I mean, the topic of the walled garden is, sometimes the U.S. feels a little bit like that. When it comes to, let's say, if Charlotte Henry was with us right now, hello, Charlotte, I miss you, come back soon. She would be like, how do you not use WhatsApp? That's what everyone else uses, except the U.S. Now, of course, if you're in China, it's WeChat, but WhatsApp, extremely prevalent in a lot of places, particularly the EU. And I have some American friends who now live overseas. I have a friend who moved to the Netherlands a few years ago, and she's like, at one point she was like, can we just talk on WhatsApp, or is that too annoying for you? And I'm like, no, we can. I don't care. It's just an app like any other app. Mm-hmm. But I kind of have to go to WhatsApp, and yes, I know notifications work and everything, but it's not my default situation. And for her, I know I sent this news to her earlier, and I was like, look what you can do. And she was like, amazing. Because besides a few people who are still in the States, most of her friends are local, and they're all using WhatsApp. And that makes perfect sense to just be the default app for messaging on your iPhone, which she has.
Just like, we have the green bubble, blue bubble thing between Android and iOS. You're on iMessage, and before RCS, when it was just SMS and MMS, the Android folks would break group chats and all that kind of stuff. The same thing is kind of true if you're dealing with someone who is in the EU, because chances are, overwhelmingly so, that if you're talking to someone in the EU, their default method of communication is WhatsApp. So if they want to include you into it and you don't use WhatsApp, then everyone else has got to do something different. So it's easier to generally let's get the one or two Americans that are going to be a part of this group to get them to join WhatsApp, as compared to us all reverting to SMS or now 100%. RCS and doing something different. So there's that aspect of it. And like I said, we here in the United States, in North America, really, I think Japan, really, there's a lot of iPhone users there that use iMessage as well. But outside of, we are a very big country, but outside of this country, outside of this continent, WhatsApp dominates in a way that I just don't think Americans appreciate, because it's like when you go to Europe, the default is to use WhatsApp. Even if you're going to call a business, you don't call them on the telephone number. You just put their number in WhatsApp and you call them that way. It is that big.
Yeah. And it's been like that for a while.
For years.
The last time I was in Europe, gosh, I don't even know. I mean, it was like 5 years ago. It was a while ago. And, I really owe you a visit, Europe. But at that time, same thing. It was, everyone was sort of like, oh, yeah, no, just had me on WhatsApp. Everybody uses WhatsApp. That's what we're doing. So it's if you don't like WhatsApp, then you have alternatives. Obviously, you know about them. But yeah, I think the whole kind of using WhatsApp as a default messaging platform on an iPhone to us is like, oh, well, that's cool, I guess, as an option. Who wants to do that? And so many people are like, I do. I do. We all do. And we've asked for this for a long time. So if you have thoughts on that, send it our way. feedback@dailytechnewsshow.com. You can also join in any conversation we're having. It's going on 24 hours a day on Discord. You can join our Discord by linking to a Patreon account at patreon.com/DTNS. All right, Amos, Nintendo held their Nintendo Direct event today. Scott Johnson alluded to this on yesterday's show, and we've got more information about what's going on. What's the haps?
Well, they actually announced a couple new features and, of course, some new games. So I'll go in order that I think is important here. First off, virtual game cards. Nintendo unveiled a new feature called Virtual Game Cards, changing the concept of digital game ownership on the Switch. Starting in late April, digital games can be managed like physical cartridges, kind of, offering easy transfer between consoles without needing continuous internet access. Now, that's between two consoles that you own yourself. Between your two consoles that you're signed in, you can just swap the games back and forth, no big deal. You can load or eject your games virtually, and importantly, lend them to family members within your Nintendo account family group for up to 14 days. During lending, the game temporarily becomes inaccessible to you and automatically returns after the period ends. It can be renewed indefinitely, so you can basically every 14 days you have to reconfirm that you want to let this family member borrow your game, but that's still a huge change over the system that was in place currently.
So call me crazy, but why is this, I know Nintendo likes to, beating its own drum as far as the games world goes, but why, if you're not on the same Wi-Fi network, would this have been so hard before?
Well, the reason they have the Wi-Fi network being the same is to show close physical proximity, so that you don't have a system here and a system in,
no, I get
something.
that much. I mean, that would be the same as, me sharing my Netflix account with somebody who's, across the world. It's
right.
like, well, are you really in the family type thing? But, I'm surprised that Nintendo hasn't been as share happy as this.
Yeah, so sharing digital games has always been, since Steam came out, it's been an issue. Steam just finally got theirs, I think, finally got it right, where you can share within your family group and it's not as restrictive as before. They put the restrictions on the family group instead of on the games, which I think is where it really belongs, because now the family aspect of Steam is really good. And this is, I think, Nintendo leaning towards that same philosophy of, let's not put the barriers to entry in the game itself and how you share the game, put it on the family level, because in the family, usually if you have physical cartridges, you're just swapping them around anyway. We got a pile of them in the room that I don't know which Animal Crossing is whose, but there's like 3 of them in there that you can just grab and put in your Switch if you want to play.
Yeah, I kind of like this because I have 2 adult children who also use Nintendo Switch, and I tend to physically buy all of my Switch games. I just like to have the little cartridge. But one of the issues that I have is that whenever I have a child come home and I 2-3 weeks later go to look at my Switch and it's like, wait a minute, where's this game at? Wait a minute, where's that game at? And I have to make a phone call. Hey, you got my game? Oh yeah. I was going to tell you about that. He's like, well, you going to tell me when you came home with it? So I do like this, and the fact that you do have to do the initial initiation on the same Wi-Fi, but once that's been done once, you don't have to be on the same network. So you could reinitialize over and over and over again for in my case with my, my kid is in college. If there's a game that I'm not really playing, but she's really wanting to play it, we can initialize when she's home for a break, and then she can go back and we just can keep reinitializing it as often as we want. Whereas before, she would just take my cartridge. This may actually get me into buying digital games now, because I know that I'll be able to share them. Before it was like, I know my kids are going to come home. I know they're going to want to snatch some of these games, so I'll just buy the physical media.
Yep. Also today, Nintendo announced the Nintendo Today app. Nintendo also introduced the app, available now for free on iOS and Android, designed as a daily companion for Nintendo fans. The app features an animated character calendar personalized with themes from Mario, Zelda, Animal Crossing, Splatoon, or Pikmin. It's got daily news, comics, and videos tailored to your favorite games and past gaming activity. And it's got widgets allowing instant access from your home screen without opening the app directly. Oh, how nice. The app will soon include news and updates about Nintendo's upcoming Switch 2 presentation scheduled for April 2nd.
Yeah, I mean, that's the whole thing, right? We're getting some leaks of what will eventually be announced on the 2nd, or we think it will, in much greater detail. But yeah, some of the stuff is like, when people already are getting familiar with this, then I feel like the April 2nd Switch 2 presentation can get that much more focused. And companies do this all the time.
Yeah, my tinfoil hat wearing self says that this app is just a way for Nintendo to further criticize the influencers on YouTube that are breaking news all the time about Nintendo, while Nintendo's not getting. Nintendo can do to get the news out there is a welcome.
I mean, they're gonna still do it.
Exactly.
If you have the Nintendo Today app. But I get this. No, I get this. For Nintendo faithfuls. And there are many. This sounds fun. It's free, right? You got iOS and Android, and if you're going to be in that kind of universe regularly, it's a fun way to keep up on the company and your favorite games.
Yeah. And then of course we had some pretty big announcements for games. Metroid Prime 4 Beyond is coming this year. So is Pokemon Legends Z to A, and then Dragon Quest 1 and 2 HD, which is the 2D remake. They did Dragon Quest 3, I think, last year or the year before, and it looks gorgeous. These are games that are really old, but they're going to be coming out with both those in HD. Oh yeah, very beloved. Those are coming out this year. Shadow Labyrinth is coming out in just a few months in July. Tomodachi Life, Living the Dream, is real and is coming out in 2026. And then Rhythm Heaven Groove is coming out in 2026. And there's a nice big presentation about that game as well.
Rob, I don't know how often if you're on X, and I don't even know how often you're on X these days, but if you are and you see trending topics, often I'm just sort of like, I don't know, I'm doing something, I'm looking for some news, whatever. But today, one of the trending topics was, it's real, OMG. So I was like, what is it? And it was all people talking about Tomodachi Life. They were pumped.
These Nintendo games, these games that are created specifically for Nintendo hardware, they have a stickiness unlike many other games. I mean, I know that folks are saying, Rob, that this is going to be the same on all platforms, but there's just something about, I will probably get a Switch 2 and do nothing but play Metroid Prime and games that I already have on. It's like I want that game so much that I'm just going to buy a new Switch to play that. I want to see it in all its glory on the Switch 2 when it comes out. And I've been playing that game for decades now, and it's just they have a stickiness that I've not seen with other platforms.
Only Nintendo can release subpar hardware performing subpar with poor Wi-Fi and a janky store, and still have millions of people just begging for more. Yeah. So there's definitely something about Nintendo that just weighs heavier on a gamer's heart.
I mean, there are certain brands that just can do that, right? I can't really think of what. I don't think there's a comparison to Nintendo in the gaming world, But in the, I don't know, Hello Kitty, for example, it's like, why do we all like it so much? I mean, not everybody does, but so many people do. Like, why? What? I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. Sometimes it just captures the heart.
Hello Kitty is definitely one of them. I remember my wife and I were sitting down having breakfast at a breakfast spot, and there's just like this long line. It's like, man, that's too far away from the Apple store. Did some Apple stuff come out? And it's like, no, it was like literally there was a store that had some new Hello Kitty merch, and there were probably 300 people in line waiting for the store to open to get in, and and ultimately be for the ends of that line probably be told, sorry, we were out.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, Instacart is introducing a new feature called Store View, which lets shoppers that use Instacart also earn money by recording videos of store shelves. You might say, what in the heck is going on here? These videos are supposed to help Instacart improve its predictive models by having better insight into what products are available, what products are out of stock, and restock time, so that it can offer more accurate information for customers that are placing advanced orders. So if I'm in there on a Friday night at 5 p.m. and the whole aisle of peanut butter is just out, Instacart knows that, can get a little bit more information about, Rob, you were going to place a large peanut butter order the next morning, and is that the right store for you, or should you go elsewhere? After testing the feature earlier this year, Instacart says that it plans to launch it with select retailers in the coming week. So it's a small test, but with a wider rollout across the U.S. and Canada expected later this year.
So Sarah, when you mentioned this story in our production meeting, my very first question was, are they actually going to pay you real money? Or are they going to
give
pay
you Instacart credits?
Instacart credits. I said, okay, because I just, a picture popped into my head of where there literally would be no one in the grocery store who didn't have a cart with a Gorilla Pod in their phone strategically attached to their cart, so they could just walk up and down aisles and scan as a side hustle type of job. Because I know I'd do it. If I can make some money by just being in the store and just scanning what's on the shelves,
Right.
I would do it every single time.
Especially if you got one of those little pockets where there's like 3 large grocery stores, and within a block you can just park once and go hit all 3 real quick. Get $15 off your groceries or whatever. It sounds great to me.
I mean, totally. Instacart, I don't have a lot of experience with Instacart. Back in the day, this was before Amazon bought Whole Foods. Instacart was, you always know who the Instacart people are, right? Because they all have the same app open and they're kind of looking at stuff, and you can just tell. Mm-hmm. And so Instacart was a big deal. Then Amazon was like, no, you're out of here. So Instacart is now a very big part of the local kind of organic Whole Foods-esque grocery store that I go to here in LA. And it's the same thing. It's like, you just know when someone's shopping for someone else rather than themselves. It's very obvious. And, if they're already in there, maybe multiple times a day, it's like, take a few photos, make a little money. I mean, yeah, why not? Sounds great. I mean, you could argue like, well, Instacart is, taking advantage of people who are, working for low wages anyway, but it doesn't seem like it would be that hard to be a part of. If you don't want to be a part of it, you don't have to. But, if you're making a few bucks when you're already out somewhere, then it's kind of a genius way for the company to get a lot of intel and pay people, $5 here and there.
They will get a ton of intel just because I'm just thinking of like, how malls open up early, and folks generally of the older generations will go and they'll walk in the mall just because it's always air conditioned. There's always heat. You don't have to worry about trying to walk in inclement weather.
Yeah, it's safe.
I now see those same folks at like 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock in the morning in every grocery store that's open at that time, walking up and down the aisles with carts, just scanning the aisles so they can get their steps in and then save a little bit on their order when they order Instacart. I'm thinking it. I know other people would think it. This is probably not a bad idea for Instacart because they're going to get an enormous amount of data. There will be a lot of people, I think, that would do this.
One of the things that, I guess kind of, and I used to work in a grocery store, so I have at least a solid understanding of how, stocking works. But for Instacart to be like, okay, Sarah, you took the picture of the peanut butter aisle. It's totally, there's no peanut butter. And Rob wants peanut butter in the morning. What happens then? And that's kind of my question is like, the intel is there. Does the company then say to you, like, here's an alternative thing that you might want to buy instead of the peanut butter that you wanted to buy? That part of it, I'd be interested in anybody who uses Instacart, either just as a shopper or as somebody who might be doing both of these things, to let us know, because it's like it doesn't solve the problem. The intel is there, but like the peanut butter doesn't magically get on the shelves.
I have personally never used it, but my wife uses it regularly. She'll just say, hey, I'm about to make a list. Is there anything that you want? So it's just running off of, on her phone. She's the one that does it. So what ends up happening for us is that if we make for example, we wanted to get a specific type of peanut butter. If they don't have that, they'll get something else that is similarly priced that is also peanut butter. Like, they'll make sure if you were asking for crunchy peanut butter, it'll be another brand of crunchy peanut butter that is roughly the same price. And they'll do that. I would imagine what Instacart is doing here though, because I do know that a lot of people will order like bulk items. Like, I don't just want a jar of peanut butter. We want 60 jars of peanut butter. So it behooves Instacart to know from the store that you're asking to this be purchased from, do they actually have 60 jars of peanut butter on the shelf to be purchased for you. And if not, they could, before you even are told no, that you don't have it, or you need to select another brand, that, hey, you might want to make another selection from another store because this store has it. They could even offer you another store. So I see this as just a massive logistics play to where they don't want to hire individuals to do a 40-hour-a-week job to walk up and down these aisles. So can we get people who have phones and have Instacart to do that work for us? And then they'll probably use a whole lot of AI in the back end to very, very cleverly tell you, oh, we don't have this 60 jars of peanut butter here, but we can get that same peanut butter for you from this other store. Would you like us to do that?
Well, and I mean, so yes, the point you make is great, because if I have I'm being proactive enough to be like, I'm going to order the stuff today to be delivered tomorrow. I want to know today that it can't be delivered tomorrow, instead of, at 10 a.m. when I have, my whole family coming over for a football game or something, where it's like, oh man, now I'm like scrambling. I think this is Instacart saying, hey, we can't really do anything about stores stocking things, but we can tell you more ahead of time if there isn't something, and suggest an alternative.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Amos, what's the Instacart situation in Alaska?
What is Instacart again?
Yeah.
No, we have DoorDash, and that's about the closest thing we can get to Instacart, because they will go to Safeway to pick up some stuff, but it's I mean, you have to wait about 3 hours to find an Uber in my town, so.
There you go. Yeah, I mean, the Instacart thing, it has become a little bit more of you can get, fresh food that, is basically dinner type thing, but it's always been historically someone goes to the grocery store, shops for you, and sends you the groceries. We obviously have lots of other options now. Amazon obviously didn't want to work with Instacart because it has its own options, and they can be great depending on where you are, and you're going to pay a premium for that. But yeah, if anyone is taking photos of store shelves and getting some kickbacks from Instacart, we want to hear about it. Honestly, we really do. Myself included, specifically, because I'll do the same.
Yeah, take a picture of yourself. Better yet, have someone else who's taking pictures with you take pictures of you taking pictures of the shelves. That would be awesome, and send that right into us.
Indeed. All right, Rob, let's check out the mailbag.
Yan, aka William, is currently working on a local LLM project and wrote in about our Monday conversation. DeepSeek V3 model, which was mentioned in Monday's episode, has about 640 gigabytes in size. To use it, you need to download the model to store in local hard drive, and you also need to do the same amount of VRAM, 640 gigabytes, to load the whole model. In Windows, you will need to have about 14 of NVIDIA's L40 GPUs at 6100 price tag for 48 gigabytes of VRAM each to load the full DeepSeek V3 model, or NVIDIA H100 with a cost of $30,000 for 80 gigabytes of VRAM will be more expensive and better option. On Macs, the latest Mac Studio with an M3 Ultra, $14,100 with a 512 gigabytes unified of RAM, which can be shared to be used as VRAM, still can't hold the whole model of DeepSeek version 3. I agree with the team saying that if using fewer resources now, it's more accessible, but not the level of accessibility people seem to perceive. We still can't use the full model on our personal machines. For our research, due to limited computing resources, we're using distilled quantized models, 2 to 45 gigabytes of VRAM, which are good enough to research, but not good as the full model.
You know, that's really interesting, William, and thank you for sending that in, because I think a lot of us are like, I don't know. I mean, if you just buy a really expensive computer, you can probably, get some stuff done. William is literally researching LLM projects and is like, all right, so here's what it's going to cost you for this, that, or the other thing. And, for example, on a tricked out M3 Ultra Mac, you can't load all of DeepSeek V3. And for anybody who's in William's line of work, I think you probably already know this. But for the rest of us, it's like, wow. I mean, can it not? No, it can't.
I want to know if the limitation on VRAM will limit how much of the model can be loaded and how slow it is, or if it just can't be loaded at all if you don't have at least the VRAM to hold the full model. Like that. This is very interesting to me. This is something I hadn't even considered learning about until now. So thank you, William.
And yet we, as William points out, these machines, they are desktops, but they are really tricked out high-end desktops. But here's what they are. They are still not a server room that's the size of anywhere from a basketball court to a football field. That is what is different. These things can still run under your desk. It'll keep you warm while they're doing it, but they can physically fit there. It is not a server room of hardware that it takes to run some of these models that you're going to see from Gemini and from OpenAI and Perplexity and the likes.
Yeah. Well, good stuff. Thank you, William. And thank you to everyone who sends us feedback. We do appreciate it. You make us smarter every day. Remember, send in your comments, send in your questions, send in ideas for future discussions at feedback@dailytechnewsshow. All right, Rob, what's going on over on dtns.showbot.tv?
Well, during the show, you've been submitting titles over at dtns.showbot.tv, and we've got some good ones for you. Let's see here. Let's start off with More Clouds for Amos by Zoe Brings Bacon. GPEG84 chimes in with me.
Before the show started, so I think I don't think it,
right after the intro. I made sure. Yep.
Okay. All right. Fine.
So GPEG84 chimes in with a bad signal leads to increased signals. It's actually a good one.
Got
nice
it.
play on words, because that really is what happened.
Signal,
like,
more signals. Yeah.
I said on social media yesterday that I actually really felt bad for Signal, because they were, people are thinking like, well, this is unsecured. It's like, no, it's absolutely, their platform is secure just for regular people, not necessarily for governments. So I'm glad at least people are downloading it, and more people are becoming aware of what Signal is, because it's a good app.
It is a good app.
Let's see here. GPEG84 also has iMessages is not for everyone.
Oh boy.
Definitely not if you're in Europe.
Don't I know it? I know it? I mean, the friends I have who are like, oh my God, why do you guys all use iMessage? I'm like, I don't know, because it works. It works.
And now C-Spawn has one. I really like this one. Take a few photos, make a little money, get down tonight. That is excellent.
Oh, that's funny. Oh, Instacart should use that as their tagline.
KC really and the Sunshine Band. That one right there. That is really good. That is really good. What do we go with, Sarah?
Well, even though C-Spawn is the crowd favorite, we did go with GPEG84's WhatsApp with your default messenger.
Okay.
Get it? WhatsApp. Yeah. WhatsApp.
I fully expect that one of our listeners is going to make a song with C-Spawn's, title submission, probably by the next show.
I feel like I have to admit something, which is WhatsApp has been around since, oh my gosh, I mean, when did WhatsApp come on the scene? WhatsApp.
I think I first heard about it in 2010 when I was in Korea.
November 2009.
Yeah.
Says Google AI overview. So, let's just assuming that's correct. I remember being like, WhatsApp? Like, why is it called WhatsApp? Like, what's the app?
Yeah, back then
I
it was
never
WhatsApp
really
Messenger.
thought about what's
Yeah.
up. Because that is, I think, the joke that they're making, right? Or the like jokey comparison is like what's up? Let's talk. What's up? But I was always like, what? Like, what? How could they possibly call themselves WhatsApp? It's like, are you looking for your app? I never got it until recently. Well, we don't always get the jokey app names that we have.
Yeah,
Thanks.
it's
YouTube
a huge
was
app.
the same thing back in the day. I was like, YouTube? Like it's your tube? Okay. But now who even thinks about that? Because it's just part of the vernacular.
It means less YouTube now than it did then, because now we don't go there to post as much as we go there to watch.
Right.
Yeah,
well,
that's
of
very
course.
true.
And
of course.
we're not watching vlogs anymore. We're watching like
But
45
even
minute
was like, I mean,
documentaries. and stuff.
YouTube launched in what, like 2004-ish? Or no, but I think that's when Google bought it. It launched before that.
Let's find out. When
But
did YouTube?
let's
come out?
find out. But
think
even then,
2012
it
was
was
when they
like
started allowing longer
even for a
content.
while, it was still sort of like it's your tube.
December 15th, 2005.
That's when it launched.
Mm-hmm.
Oh man,
Yeah.
Officially
Google,
launched on-
So Google bought it soon after that. Huh. Well, I don't know.
Yeah, it's been around for a minute, and it's like we don't even think about the names anymore. It's like now just whatever the name is just what we go with because we know now that the reason that companies are making up these crazy names is because they want to get the domain name for it. Whereas before you used to actually have could get your domain name. That's not easy to do anymore. You literally need to make words up. So I think that's a big reason as to why we have so many just made up names that mean nothing other than the thing that they are.
And also names are really sticky. Like, how long has it taken us to get away from saying, Google owns YouTube? It's Alphabet that owns YouTube, but none of us care. Meta owns WhatsApp. No, it's still Facebook's WhatsApp. Like that, they're the ones that bought it. It's like this weird thing where they want new names. They want to elevate above their original brand, and names are just too sticky in people's brains for that.
Sure. I mean, definitely true. I mean, if I was like, hey, you want to play with my, MetaQuest? People are like, oh, like the Facebook thing? I mean, it's all the same. Remember, harken back to the day when Amazon sold books. That's what they did. It was just, you bought books online, and it was like, wow, cool. What a fun, online bookstore. And put a lot of companies out of business. But I remember being like, Amazon? Like the Amazon River? I mean, what are we doing? And now, I mean, just to even think of Amazon, like, does that name really mean everything? It's like, no one does that anymore. Or what's Yahoo? I mean, great example of like, what is that? Is that sort of like a fun, like, like rebel yell type thing? Like, people don't think about these names anymore. It's just the name that it is.
Do you think people still even think of Amazon as a bookstore?
No,
that's what it started.
I do
It's
not.
like, I don't. You could you could say Amazon and books in the same sentence, and I wouldn't even put the two together at this point. I just don't think of Amazon that way anymore.
I remember right after I discovered Amazon is when they teamed up with Toys R Us, and I had just went overseas, and I was like, oh, Toys R Us didn't have a website, but Amazon will sell Toys R Us stuff, and I can order that for my kids. Yes, let's do that. So for me, Amazon began as a toy store.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it definitely began as a bookstore. Definitely did. And, for years, the whole thing was like, is this right? Is it right that this company is, selling all these books to people and now they're not going to mom and pop shops, which is still the conversation we're having about Amazon. But I mean, I feel like a lot of people have just gotten sort of like, reticent about the whole thing. Is like, it's here to stay. And, now Amazon has if you're going to, I don't know, buy a cheap t-shirt on Amazon, it's like, well, now you've got Shein and now you've got Temu, and there are lots of other ways that you can get that thing that Amazon previously sold. But yes, Amazon still does have a book category.
They do. It's crazy to think that I was still in college when Amazon came out. I was in grad school, and I remember, oh, this is cool. I can just this brand new book is the same price as the book in the used bookstore. Let me just get the new version of it because I can sell it for more when I sell it to the used bookstore. So it's like, yeah, they came out in 94. It's amazing how long the company has been around.
Isn't that crazy? 94. Oh man. Well, we could reminisce all day, but we have tomorrow to do that as well. So Amos, before we get out of here, let's thank the folks who have been cheering us on and giving us accolades and promoting us in general.
Well, let me tell you, Technique gave us a shout out on Twitch, and Zoe Brings Bacon came in with 4 bits, and we really appreciate all 4 of those individual bits.
We certainly do.
Well, folks, want a recap of the week's tech headlines with insights on how technology affects and disaffects communities of color? Then check out The Tech John, where hosts Robb Dunewood, Stephanie Humphrey, and Terrence Gaines dive into the top tech stories of the week, delivered from points of view you don't always hear in mainstream media. New episodes land Tuesday afternoons. Find it wherever you get your podcast, or visit The Tech John. That's thetechjawn.com.
It's a great show. Rob, are you also talking about yourself in the third person these days?
I am. That was.
I like it.
I like how you picked up on that.
Just wanted to make sure.
I almost was going to throw in that. Robb Dunewood is a real cool guy too.
Oh yeah, I mean totally.
You don't want to lie to the people. Come on.
He's a solid third of DTNS Live, and we couldn't do it without you. But just a reminder for those of you who are listening after the fact, we are doing the show live Monday through Friday every day, every weekday anyway, at 4 p.m. Eastern, 2000 UTC. We've got audio and video options, and we'd love to have you join us live if you so desire. We're always available after the fact as well at DTNS, dailytechnewsshow.com/live. We are back tomorrow with Len Peralta joining us. Talk to you then.
The DTNS family of podcasts, helping each other understand.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.